Well, we just had the patch update. That's right. iRacing came out, made some changes, did some fixes, updated some stuff since the big Season 3 build. And one of the things that they changed was the gearing to the 410 sprint cars. And more specifically, they also changed the setups, which was, I think, one of the biggest issues with the car. So, how's the car now with the new gearing? What's it like? Did they take a step in the right direction or the wrong direction? And more importantly, is this going to actually solve the massive debate that has been out here of whether or not these cars are broken? So we're going to cover all of that in today's video, and I'm going to share with you what my friends are saying who are real world sprint car drivers about this build. So stick around. What's up, everybody? Thomas Brandon here. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. And like I said, we're going to be taking a look at the 410 sprint cars once again. We've had a patch, couple changes. There's been a lot of really heated debate and discussion when it comes to the 410 sprint car. Now, really quick, one thing that I want to talk about here briefly is the just vitriolic response by some over this car. There was a video done by a gentleman named Billy Strange. He raced sprint cars in real life. He actually helped iRacing with the development of these cars in the sim, I believe, a few years ago. And he put out a video titled Broken, right? I mean, basically, he's talking about these cars being broken. I watched that video because it was posted in the SSR Discord, and I checked it out. I also looked at a couple of forum threads because there was some stuff being shared in the Discord about things that were being commented on. That video was pretty much like, you know, do you submit this as evidence? This is what the side of the people who said that this is broken, this was their smoking gun, right? This video. They said, hey man, this guy used to race, he used to help iRacing, these cars are broken. On the other side, there was actually people using some of my videos as proof as to why the car was good. Now, I've said this before, I'll say it again. I said it in my review video. I've never driven these cars in real life. I know how they should work by all of the feedback I've gotten from drivers. I've spent a lot of time working on them, setting them up, things like that. I could go right now to the track and set up a sprint car, okay? And depending on the track, right? Because, I mean, obviously I haven't been at every dirt track in the country, but, you know, out here on the West Coast, I could probably get the car pretty damn good, right? Pretty close, even though it's been quite a few years since I've set up a real sprint car, just because the idea behind the car, the build of the car, right, is still it's basically the same. Billy talks about this in his video, and he's 100% correct. Now, a couple things about the video, and I would actually love to talk to him about this stuff because I don't understand it in the same way that he does, because I've never helped iRacing develop a car. So there's probably things that he could, I don't know, maybe shine a light on for me, I guess, right? Questions that he could answer. Maybe, I don't know if maybe iRacing had him sign a, you know, NDA or something and he can't talk about it. I don't know, but he talks about he makes some really good points in there. First of all, I would agree. I haven't tried the car since the patch. We're going to do that here in just a second. I literally just loaded up a session. We're going to hop in and we're going to go through it here in just a minute. But he talks about the front end having a little too much grip. I would agree with that. I also do think there's some stuff you could change with the setup that makes that better. Though when they talked about the car, you know, darting, pushing, coming out of the corner, not winging over properly, stuff like that. The biggest cause of that, in my opinion, was the bump rubber and packer. The left rear corner of these cars in the sim now is so important. Just like in real life, Okay, it's very important in real life too. When you talk about a wing sprint car, you're talking about a car. You're winging it over. You basically want to stick that left rear, because if you stick that left rear, everything else is going to work off that. Meaning that's what's going to get you through the corner fast. That's why the cars want. That's why you want the cars to wing over. Okay, um, and like I talked about in my review video, that left rear is not just the load you're putting on the left rear, it's also controlling the force and the timing for the right rear. If you are putting everything onto the left rear, you can get what's called down and out, which means that you've got the left side down too much and it's pulling out the right rear. This can cause the car to snap loose. It can cause that sliding feeling where you feel like you're not getting any side bite and the car just keeps on sliding. So I do think there's some stuff there that is more setup based than just the car's broken based. Okay. Also, the new dynamic track stuff I think is having an effect on some of these things. Meaning, I've done quite a few sessions now where we would go in. There wasn't a lot of marbles accumulated. The cushion didn't really build up. The track didn't slick off that fast. And then I've done other sessions where it's like, all right, track's really racy and we've got multiple grooves. And even though it's not slicked off like it used to be, it's still multi-groove racing. So I do think there's a combination of factors that are going on right now. One thing that he also talks about in the video is the force to speed, right? The car felt like a two-stroke motorcycle, which was actually a great analogy because there was a lot of truth to that, especially with the 410. If you were running the wrong gear, which I think a lot of people were. They were still in that 486 gearing mindset where they're like, okay, it's Port Royal, we've got to run a 486. That's not really the case. Now, they've already changed the gearing and stuff like that, so we're going to see here in just a second. But even though the car didn't give that sensation like you hit the throttle and it just picked up the front wheels and you were just, stuck back in the seat, it did gain speed very, very fast. If you actually looked at your speed, a sprint car, they say, can do like 0 to 60 in like, I don't know, 2 seconds or 2.5 seconds. That's pretty accurate. You could go, if you were idling at 20 miles per hour around Port Royal, and then you just floored it. By the time you got to the end of the straightaway going into the next turn, you were doing 140 miles per hour, right? That seems plenty fast to me. I mean, that seems like very good acceleration. So, I understand there's some stuff with these cars that is not 100% accurate. I talked to my buddies that do race these cars, that have raced these cars, that not only raced wing sprints, but also raced USAC sprints. And they've said both of those, the wing sprint car and the non-wing sprint car, both of them are much closer to realistic than they've ever been. So I don't know who's right. I don't know. I don't know if it's just a differing of opinion. I don't know if they're looking at it from two different angles and it's causing that. I know when I talked to my buddy, I had probably an hour-long conversation with my buddy yesterday, where we dove deep on these cars in the sim, and he was explaining to me what made it feel real and why he liked it so much. And, he was like, dude, he goes, that was something that we always thought in real life when you've got the car too hooked up. And he goes, wing sprint cars, you run a lot tighter than a non-wing sprint car. Like I said, he raced both, so he's got a unique experience with that. And he would talk about that where the car would come off the corner. He goes, you get that push tight where the car is so hooked up and on a wing sprint car, right? It's winged over. It's got that drive coming off the corner and you're shoving the nose and you're having to kind of steer the wheel and use the brake and give it more gas to get it to turn. And he's like, that's what I'm doing here. He goes, it's just almost exactly the same. I know that for me, I've been playing around a whole lot more, driving with the throttle and using more brake and stuff like that, which is something that you would do in real life, right? As opposed to just holding the throttle wide open. I use Brad Sweet as an example all the time, right? I mean, multiple time champion in the World of Outlaws, but watch races with him at big tracks in Knoxville, Eldora, right? His brakes are glowing. He's not just holding it wide open, pounding the cushion, right? His brakes are glowing because he is using the throttle and the brakes. The brakes are not just for slowing the car down. They're not for stopping the car. They are for manipulating the car. And I will 100% listen to somebody that, hey, these brakes are too sensitive. Like I said, I've never driven a car in real life. I just know that for me on here, they've been working just fine. Okay. So there's a lot of stuff out there. There's a lot of debate going on right now over this car. And we've already seen changes with it on the 410 side. The 360s, I actually think are really good. With the 410, it was one of those things where there's definitely things I agreed with in terms of the car feeling, not being great, but I still stand by the fact that I think the car overall is a massive step in the right direction. And iRacing said that they had real world sprint car drivers help them develop this car. I don't know the people at iRacing, and the people at iRacing do not know me, right? They wouldn't know me if they tripped over me in the street. So I don't know why they would lie about that. I really don't. I understand it's really simple, right? And it's almost a natural reaction, especially in the day and age that we live now, where getting pissed is like it's what we do. You know what I mean? Like something changes and they're like, this is crap, this is horrible, this sucks. I get it because I've been like that too, and I've said before, like we are all guilty of getting on iRacing's case. We are, but I don't know why they would just not give and put out crap and not care, because that's not a smart business decision for them. You know what I mean? Their business survives off of recurring revenue, right? It's not like you sign up for iRacing, you pay a one-time fee and you have it forever. They have a subscription model. Yes, you pay for the content, right? But you have to also keep paying a monthly or quarterly or yearly service fee to access this stuff. They know that you're not going to pay for crap, for garbage. So they want to put out a quality product. I truly believe that. And just because it might not be as perfect as we would all want it, it doesn't mean that it's broken. You know what I mean? I guess would be my point. So there was a lot of stuff that was said, after my review and things like that. I mean, most of the comments and stuff that I got were awesome, amazing. I've said this before. I think dirt is where the NASCAR side was a few years ago, right? A few years ago on the NASCAR side, the asphalt oval side, the tires weren't good. The track dynamics sucked. This sucked. This wasn't good. This doesn't work. This isn't right. And now it's pretty freaking incredible over there. I think the dirt side is on that same path. They'll get it figured out. They'll get it all dialed in. I think this is a huge, massive step in the right direction. Like I also said just a few minutes ago, I have no problem admitting I'm wrong if I am. Okay, so yeah, those are just some thoughts on everything, because like I said, it's been crazy. The battle lines have absolutely been drawn on this car, and it's been nuts. So anyways, they made some changes. Let's check out what the changes are. Let's see how the gearing affects these cars, because that's going to be the biggest, most important aspect of it. So let's head over to the track and let's take a look. All right, so here we got the notes from the changes. Dirt sprint car gear ratio has been updated. Driveline gearing and rev limit have been updated. And then some pitching, some high pitch sound or whatever. They did the gearing and stuff like that for both the wing car and the non-wing car. Now, if we look at the Port Royal setup now, shocks are the same. The turns in the same. The stagger seems less. I can't remember I thought it was 13 last time. I don't know. The right front bar is definitely stiffer. The wing is definitely different. They've got positive offset in the steering, which is something that I was doing in the insider setup. I'm glad to see that, because that was something a lot of people were complaining about, having to turn the wheel too far left. And part of the reason was if you were going down the straightaway, you would be holding your front wheel straight, and your wheel was cocked to the left. So that will help some with that. I'm interested to see how that does. And then bump rubber 500, Packer 750. This is huge, okay? they were running a 1000 and like a 2-inch packer before. I've been saying that this is so important and you got to get this fixed. So I'm not going to touch anything. We're going to leave it just as is. They've also, since the gearing changes now in here, we've got a 497. The Port Royal setup had a 486. Now that gear bogged like crazy, but let's just see here what we've got. Okay, so first of all, I want to hold the... Okay, so my steering wheel has got a slight cock to the right now. That's going to be that positive offset. But when we're at speed, let's see how that feels. But first of all, I want to just idle here. Let's just do about 20 miles an hour. And we're going to punch it. And let's see what kind of acceleration we get down the straightaway here. Okay. So we're at 20. And... and then we're at 140 at the end of the straightaway. I don't know. I think this thing feels like it's got pretty good get up now. Right there, as I just punched it, the front wheels picked up some. Okay, so this is what people were complaining about before. And now it's picking the front end up off the ground. Okay, so the car feels much better. I think it's more the gear, because that was something that I noticed before. Was I was going to a very short gear for a 410. I think in the Insider setup we were running like a 522, which I'm gonna have to update now. For this thing to pick up the front end like that, right? Just... it's got power now, okay? I mean, you can see if you just stomp the throttle, the front end is dancing around on it. So the gearing is much better. The power much better than it was. Because like I said before, even in my review, I said that something felt off with the, not just the RPMs, but the power curve, the power band. So that felt really good. Now, what I want to do here, because this is going to be the ultimate test, are we going to just be running a freaking 486 at every track? So let's throw in a 486 now. I guess I didn't really do a lap, huh? But let's see. Still picking up the front end some. So we're getting up to the mid 8,000s, 8,300, 8,400 on the RPMs. Obviously, the iRacing setup is much better now. We've also got 30 nose swing in it. So this, with the gearing, this feels much better. And I would be interested to see what people think of the car now, because I gotta say, one of the things that I definitely disagreed with in a lot of the things that I was hearing about the car was everyone kept saying, well, this car fundamentally is wrong. It's fundamentally broken, right? Sprint cars don't act like this. Fundamentally, it is wrong. I don't know how anybody could look at the previous versions of the sprint cars and say that those were fundamentally correct, right? If I had thrown a 950 bar on the right front with a 1050 on the left rear, lowered the right side all the way down, raised the left side all the way up, put a tie-down shock on the right front with an easy-up shock on the right rear, while also moving the right rear wheel all the way in and the left rear wheel all the way out. If I had done that in real life, my car owner would have had me arrested for attempted manslaughter, right? They'd have been like, dude, are you trying to kill the driver? You cannot say that that's fundamentally okay when you would never in a million years run a sprint car like that. So I get that there were things that weren't right, but let's not act like what we had before was amazing and this is crap, okay? Because I think that's absurd. All right. Now, you want to talk about how it was back in 2018. I don't know. I wasn't on the sim then, but I hear people talk about how the car was in 2018 like it was this mythical unicorn that they just nailed perfectly right out of the box. And it's done nothing but go downhill since then. Once again, iRacing is a business. They are in the business of making money. If they don't make money, if they don't have customers, none of this stuff works. I don't know a business on earth who would do their first iteration, it be perfect, and then do nothing but screw it up over the next few years, right? So I get things are not perfect. There's things that could be improved, but I still stand by it. I think what we have is really good. And talking to my buddies and my friends who race sprint cars and have raced both wing and non-wing sprint cars, for them to say, yeah, dude, this thing's good. I agree with that. Now, they've changed this gearing. I don't know if they reverted it back to the way that it was or if they've made tweaks to it. We'll have to wait and see. We might end up running a 486 at every damn track again, but for me to just stomp it and it literally pick the front end up like that, this thing's definitely more hooked up the power. Whether that was something they've changed with just the gearing, the RPMs, the torque, I don't know. I don't know if it was something they did with the tires. I don't know. I know that all this stuff is interconnected and intertwined, so we'll have to wait and see. But overall, I still like it. You know, the iRacing fixing their setups was definitely a step in the right direction. And yeah, we'll have to just see what happens moving forward. All right, you guys. So that's going to do it all for this video. I need to actually work on the insider setups here for the website because with the new gearing now, it's going to be different. So I need to get on that. But yeah, that's going to do it. You know, like I said, I still stand by it liking the car. I think the iRacing setup definitely feels better now. And we'll have to see how this new gearing affects everything else. I've done races in the sprint cars and stuff so far this week. I've got to tell you, I've had fun. They've been good. We've been able to race side by side. It's been multi-groove. The track is widened out. So it'll be interesting to see how people feel about this gearing change and how they feel about the car now. I don't know. There was, when it comes to this dirt refresh, there's been a lot of, it's been very divided. It's been very divided. I still, like I said, I still stand by what I said before, which I think it's a massive step in the right direction. And my friends who race saying the same thing and telling me that, you know, they think it's good and a step in the right direction, has only, you know, reaffirmed that for me. But like I said, I am open to being wrong. I'm 100% open to being wrong. And if somebody says, hey man, this is not right and this should do this and this should do this, and they can actually show it to me other than just saying this is crap and so and so said so, I'm all for listening to that, man. My goal has always been the same. I love doing this. It's fun. And I want to have fun doing it. And I want the most amount of people that love racing to enjoy it as well. I don't want it to be a fight or, you know, this divisive, you know, dirt sucks, no, it's good, you suck, right? I don't want it to be that. No, like I said, none of us ever started sim racing because we want to be stressed out and pissed off. We all did it because we love racing. So my goal has always been to just try to help as many people as I can, give you my thoughts on it, and have fun in the process. That's it. So hopefully this helps. Hopefully this kind of shines a light on a couple of things. And yeah, you know, get out there, play around with the gearing now on the 410, see what you can come up with. And hopefully you'll, if you were one of the people who didn't like before, hopefully this improves it some for you. But that's going to do it. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. If you like this, you already know what to do. If you don't like it, you know what to do. Also, you can hit either like or dislike button down below. subscribe, all that other good stuff. Share. I will be live streaming tonight. Tonight is the, I believe it is the late model tour. Is tonight the tour race for the late models? Yes, tonight is the dirt late model tour race. I am going to be live streaming tonight. I'm going to try to run that race tonight. So I will be live streaming. We're going to run some more dirt. I'm hoping to run some cars that I haven't got to run yet. Big blocks. Obviously the super late model, because I've done some pro late model races. So and then hope maybe even a midget race. So we'll have to see. But yeah, I'll be live streaming tonight if you want to join me for that. Check that stuff out. But that'll do it. Thank you very much, as always, for joining me. And until next time, I want to wish you good luck, good racing. Take care.